Me is Jack Kaiser. How you doing today, Kays?
We're doing all right, not too bad. Got an L today, but we showed steps of improvement, which is all that really matters for week one.
All right, that's good. Well, the first thing I want to ask you is, what do you do to practice becoming a better analyst?
Uh, the analyst role, by definition, is to present and gather information in a presentable and/or digestible way possible for decision makers. So in league, that would be any applicable information to the coaches or players. So how did I practice it? Mainly, I would just watch VODs. Speed watching VODs is always really good. Um, and then developing, because there's no set way or set rules on how to do anything. I would just say be flexible. So like approach other analysts, ask them tips and tricks. Make content, like make like documents about like a VOD review or how to set up a Baron, how to different aspects of the game. Make like content for that, and then send it off to other analysts and get critiques on it. I did that often, and then mainly it's just you got to put in like so much time, just time of odds, and then you'll start seeing patterns, and then you just start making your own content off it. Basically, just a lot of time.
Gotcha. So a lot of time you came to it. So another big question I want to ask you is, how did you network yourself to join the CS and LCS teams you've been on? Because there's been a lot of them.
Uh, how did I network? Since the beginning, I started about 2 years ago. I just reached out to I was a player for like 1 year. I was trying to be a player. I was a support player. I knew a lot about the game,
Mhm.
but I decided that obviously I'm not a pro player, so I just decided I'm just going to try to do the staffing route, and because I still wanted to do something in esports, and I had a background in analytics and math, so it only made sense. So I just started reaching out to teams in orgs like CS level. No LCS level team is going to hire someone on, but if someone reaching out, they get tons of people reaching out. So I looked for more of the less less risk areas for the teams to bring me in. So I just reached out to Delta Fox. I said, "Hey, I can do this. Here's a player analysis I did. Let me know what you think. If you don't get back to me, good luck this season." Just something simple like that. And then after a month, they got back to me, and I helped them out with like for 2-3 months. Then for the next one would be Dire Wolves. I mean, obviously, I don't speak Spanish. I'm not trying to act like I can. So I was thinking, what's the next best region that has the lowest level of entry for me to get in to gain some experience? So I said the Oceanic region looks like a region that I could possibly work in. So I just reached out to all the top organizations, owner, coach, and manager, and that region is super understaffed. So if you can bring anything to the table for free, because if whenever you work for free, you take the risk of employment or the risk of the employer off of them,
Mhm.
and it shows them that you can actually do the job before they have to put any financial commitment down, and or any like relationship building commitment. So just I reached out to them, went on trial for like 2 months, and then kind of just picked me up. And then after I worked with them for like 9 months through like most of Split One, MSI, Split Two, and then they brought me out to China and Korea for Worlds, because we qualified for Worlds. So I went out to Korea. I met with some of the other coaches and teams over there. Like I met UOL, Sheepy. I met Fnatic. I met Cloud9. I met a lot of the top end teams, and then at Worlds after we lost in China, I just approached Fanatics. We were on the same plane with them. I was talking to Coach Falco. Then I said, "Hey, if you guys need any help at Worlds, feel free. I'm open now to help you guys out." And he said, "No, we don't need any help." I sent him over all my work. So I had made tons of documents for Worlds
Mhm.
on preparation, and then 4 hours later, I got a message on Skype, and he just said, "Come to my room," and then they put me on as their Worlds head analyst.
Gotcha.
And then it just like transpired, and they just maybe go through the application process again
Mhm.
for this go round this year, because they have a process to go. I had like 5 interviews with them,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, I landed the spot out of like 42 people or something. Oh, and then I forgot to tell you, E United. E United, I did it during the Direwolves. I reached out to Direwolves. I didn't reach out. I told the Direwolves that, hey, I have a friend, I knew Clerky from, like, I didn't know him, I knew of him.
Mhm.
Like, I have never been in contact, but I knew he was there from Maryville. So I saw E United's games, and I said, whoa, they have some flaws. So I made like a 20 to 25-minute video about their drafting flaws, vision flaws, and there's like their play style. Posted it to Reddit. 12 hours later, Clerky contacts me, pays me to take it down, and then they put me on as their analyst for the split. So really, it's just, how would I encourage networking? Yeah, just reach out to organizations that have lower level of entry. So for now, because NACS is gone, I would suggest Oceania, any Latin America region, if you could speak the language, because performance is very key in a wildcard region. You can't go to a wildcard region and like do poorly. So being on a top end team is really important. And then collegiate. I think collegiate's the next route for up and coming staff members.
Gotcha. Yeah. And that kind of leads into my next question. What path do you suggest for aspiring staff members? Do you think they should go to these other regions? Do you think they should invest in collegiate now? What are your thoughts?
Path for other staff members. I would suggest definitely never attaching yourself to one brand in the beginning.
Mhm.
I know you never saw me like staying with one organization for too long in the very beginning, because you're trying to build up your personal brand. Building up your personal brand will make it a lot easier to get onto a top end team.
Right.
So yeah, mainly I would reach out to places, like I said, Oceania is really good. Any collegiate team is going to be looking for staff members. Like, you could reach out to any of the middle pack collegiate teams. If you know who to reach out to, you have to do some research, of course, on Twitter and like figure out the stuff on your own. But you can reach out to like their esports like director and say, hey, I'm going to help out for like a month or two, and you might end up with a scholarship next year to go there.
Right.
So mainly those kind of routes would be what I would suggest. Like with academy now, like so say you're a coach and you're trying to get into the pro scene. No team is going to hire a coach straight out of amateur, so you should think, what's the most translatable role to a coach, an academy coach or an assistant coach, and it's probably a positional coach. So you probably should be looking for positional coaching offers when they open up or apply. Like, start building up your own content. Like, okay, here's a VOD, here's like a review I did of this player, here's like a video of an individual coaching session. Like, build a portfolio tailored to that said job.
Right.
Like how you would with any other job.
Right. So another question that I have, because you spent some time within the amateur scene, what is it like? Like, what's the gap between coaching the amateur players and working with professional players? Is there a major gap, or is it? Do you think it's still kind of relatable?
Players wise, I mean, obviously, the players, it's going to be different.
Right.
The players, maybe not for the wild card regions. It's a little bit less serious.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, but the top end wild card teams, it's still a very noticeable gap. Mm-hmm. But the middle of the pack wild card teams, it's actually not that much of a difference from the player standpoint. The staffing standpoint, it's a pretty big difference, because the staffing standpoint, that's people are like doing this for like 12, 15 hours a day. Like, I was doing it for, when I was trying to integrate, for at least 15 hours a day, 14 hours a day. Now I'm still doing it around that time, but it varies day to day, obviously.
Right.
But the difference in level, I would just say game knowledge, understanding of systems for coaches, how to implement lessons, and like not just give random game reviews. I would like just knowing how to do focused practice in a system that can like build the team environment that doesn't make it toxic is really important, which every coach is going to do it differently.
Right.
Like when you should be addressing problems and how you should address them in ways that can leave the productive conversation. So it's just the system building is probably the first thing off the top of my head.
All right. Well, do you have any last things before we round off this interview that you'd like to say to the people watching?
I mean, cheer on Fnatic this year. I mean, we're gonna kick some ass, I think, by the end of this year. Even though we lost today to H2K, we made a few mistakes. If you're trying to get in as an amateur staff member, just keep grinding the VODs. You have to understand the game at a high enough level, and you have to my one tip advice is wherever you go or try to do, think of it as your last job. Because if you perform well or super well at every single job, you have a higher chance of that person running into someone, and then they'll be like, "Oh, is this guy good?" And I'm like, "Yes." Because when I got the Fnatic role, they went down. I had a list of references. They went down every reference and contacted them, and even some people I didn't even put on my reference sheet, they contacted, and they said, "Hey, this Fnatic reached out to me," and I'm like, "Whoa," and I'm like, I didn't even put you on my reference sheet. So just be good wherever you go and always keep your reputation high.
Gotcha.
So that would be it.
All right. Well, thanks again for coming on to the show this week, Kays. It was a pleasure getting to talk with you about working as an analyst. And we hope to see all of you viewers next week on The Dream.
Yep. Peace.